I think the unknown is the spaces in between, right? It's the space of us figuring out who we really are in this world against the backdrop of everything society has told us to be true, you know? And so I think that um, when you really think about it, it's really about doing like the internal work, right? Which is hard because the internal life and the internal life and the intangible dreams of that space is what really has a tangible effect on the world. And so I think it's really important for us to find spaces or cultivate spaces for us to tap into the spaces that we call the unknown, right? The spaces of uncertainty, because it allows us to detach from the myth of what we've been taught to be true about safety and security.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a great disservice that people have grown up with everywhere, trusting that whatever culture they were born into has the
Mm.
truth or keys to the truth and tells the true story about the rest of humanity. And so you get your placement based on what you were born into, and that not just that birth order of your family of origin, but the pecking order, which is just, so full of core lore about who you are, who you're not. And I feel like from the beginning, we need that inner work.
Right?
You
Like
know?
it really highlights for me the power of the mind, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
indoctrinated at such a young age to accept someone else's imagination as your own, right? And it for me, it just really hits home how our most powerful currency isn't money, it isn't anything material, it's our mental state, right? And it makes me think of Edward Bernays, who they call the father of public relations. Like his whole thing was understanding the power of the mind, because he said if you understand the power of the mind and you can grab hold of someone's imagination, then you basically control their life. And so for me, what you just said right now is just reiterating that, right? It's reiterating the importance of our mental state, the importance of our imagination, and just really the importance of reframing the way that we understand mental health, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that we often understand mental health through the lens of an illness or a state of being dis-ease, and that's a part of it, but it's a whole spectrum of what that really looks like and what that entails.
Yes. And, you know, since we don't really talk about things outside of that, that creates kind of a false construct. It's almost like we are living in a false world that's been built based on just what you're describing, Ogi, and we don't even know it. And that's why the three of us, I've heard conversations with the three of us where we're talking to someone else, and that someone zooms into us and says, why don't people talk about this? Don't you guys experience that on a daily basis where people are longing for where you want to go? They want to talk about the real stuff. And they're longing, just like you were sharing about your vulnerable time with Mel, but still you were just longing for the real conversation. And you knew you could have it with her, which is incredible. And Mel, I bet you wouldn't have gone outside with just anybody. you know? So you had to have some kind of sense of, oh my gosh, she and I need to connect. This is my moment with her. Do you remember that?
Yeah, totally. I do. I think it also just kind of connected me to her, where I felt like on some level I was just tracking you for a little bit time, which is why I'd always invite you to, like, when Julie came to the shop, or kind of kept you in that cipher. To me, the part about all this that bugs me out is how we don't know. We don't know for so long whose beliefs we've adopted and how they're playing out in our lives. I mean, I remember, if I can share something personal, a session I had with you, Smushy, a long time ago. And you you kind of made me question my connection to my creator. And you're like, what if I told you that you believe in a false creator, not your creator? I forgot how you said it, but it sent me on this whole journey where I realized that I had just adopted my mom's God, like my mom's definition of God, my mom's idea of God. And I didn't really believe in that God, but that was the God that I was worshiping or, like praying to. And when I would do something that I felt guilty about, I wouldn't go to the God because I thought that God would judge me. Or, I had this entire relationship with my creator that belonged to somebody else, that had been created by something else. And then I had to really, really go in, and it took me a long time. And I would pray to God every day. I'm like, please connect me to you as you are, not what I think you are. And please increase my connection to you. And also just show yourself to me.